Today, I will be gifting the MMA community with probably the best GOAT list that has ever been put out in the space, in the community. Um, this is gonna be the video that when you're on your deathbed, and you're talking to your kids, you're gonna be like, "Damn, I wish I could rewatch for the first time Halo MMA's top 15 MMA GOAT list." It was his first video, but it was the best one. Uh, that's what you're gonna say on your deathbed. I know it. I can see into your future. That's what you will say it. And I'm just telling you in advance. But yeah, so this is my first video, and I know you're probably wondering, like my boy Connor would put it, who the fuck is this guy? And that's completely valid. But I'm here today to show that I know ball. I know ball. I know what other way to show that you know ball than a top 15 GOAT list. I mean, there's a lot of other ways, right? But this is one of the most, convenient and straightforward ways to show it. But enough with the yapping. I'm fucking yapping. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Let's get straight into it. First of all, though, I know, halt your horses. I know you want to hear who my number 15 is. But you gotta know my criteria, because if you're gonna think I'm wrong, at least, I want to show that I'm being consistent with what I think. Because everyone has different criterias. The fact that number 2 is win-loss ratio, a lot of people are going, what the fuck? Number 4, number of wins. People are like, oh, how can you be a GOAT if you don't have that many wins? Relax, all right? I'm here. I'm gonna show you why. I'm just gonna show you why. First of all, criteria. Quality of resume / legacy. I mean, quality of resume speaks for itself. Who have you beat? Who have they beat? That you've beat. How good is their record? How good is their resume? Because at the end of the day, MMA has changed so much in the last 25 years, 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Different fighters are at different levels. I hate to break it to you. But, also along with that, that's very important, is the legacy. The legacy that you left as a fighter, as an MMA fighter. And that obviously engulfs championships, big fights, aura, as the kids call it these days. I'm young myself. I don't know why I just said that. But that aura, what aura do you have? What aura do you bring? Do you have that GOAT aura? Because if you don't, then you can't really be on this list. Like, who doesn't have championships that deserves to be on this list? I'm not Lucas fucking Tracy. Armin Sarukian is not top 15 MMA fighter of all time. Petr Yan obviously has a title, but he doesn't have that GOAT status legacy, at least just yet. He's young. I mean, on the younger side. He could prove that he still has some in the tank. That made no fucking sense. I don't know why I said it like that. But he can prove that he can still win. He's probably going to rematch from Rob. But yeah, enough of the Petr Yan talk. That's number 1. Number 2 is the win-loss ratio. If you have a lot of L's, you can't be up there. You can't be in the upper echelon of GOATs. You could probably be a GOAT. Because I'm thinking of someone specific right now that you guys are probably also thinking about. But if you have a lot of losses, you just can't be up there. You either lost too much in the beginning, or you let your prime pass and you just couldn't keep up with the younger guys. Number 3, longevity. Speaking of youth, how long were you good for? If you were only good for a certain amount, that's not going to take you as long. But this is number 3, so it's not as important. But obviously, you have to mix everything. Longevity is super important. How long was your prime? And even longevity in terms of winning matches. You don't have to be in your prime, but if you still continue to win matches, that just shows the level of the MMA fighter you are. At number 4, number of wins. Obviously, if you have plenty of wins, if you have a large number of wins, it's going to boost you up, especially if you're in the upper echelon of fighters, of wins. Just because, wins are everything in the sport. As much as people don't want to admit it, wins are mostly everything, because losses can only take you so far. You're gonna be remembered by your losses, but more so by your wins. So if you have a lot of them, that's always a good sign. But all right, actually now enough of the yapping. I've told you what I think, my thought process doing this list. So without further ado, I'm gonna present number 15 on my list. Number 15. Charlie do Bronx. Yes, Charles do Bronx Oliveira is my number 15 ranked fighter of all time. What to say about my sweet Max? My boy Max. Max? What the fuck am I talking about? We're gonna edit that one out. What to say about my sweet boy Charles? First of all, I have to say, this may be a little controversial. You know, you could have had names like Izzy, Cejudo. You know, Cejudo's a double champ. You gotta put respect on his name. Aljo sneakily up there without you guys realizing. Especially, you know, I'm recording this August 29th. He just beat Brian Ortega a week ago in China. So, yeah, that definitely boosted him up a little bit, even though Ortega's very fucking washed at this point. And, you know, maybe Pantoja could be up there as well. Just, you know, Tim fucking Elliott beat Kaya Sakura. You know, Tim Elliott is a title defensive, someone that we're going to see later on in this video, but yeah, how the fuck did he beat Kaya Sakura? That just makes Pantoja's title defense look like shit, if we're being honest with ourselves. But yeah, enough of the other people. We're here to talk about my sweet boy Charles. What to say about my sweet King Charles? You know, he has the most finishes and submissions ever for an MMA fight, for a UFC fighter, sorry. And that goes a long ways. You know, that's the legacy that he's leaving. You know, when you look back, you see the record books. Charles do Bronx Oliveira is going to be up there, number one, at least for now, in terms of finishes and subs. And that's crazy. Not to mention he's tied second in most wins ever. That's also crazy. This guy has had a crazy longevity. Like, you see the list that I have there of his fight history. Let me know if you recognize where that's from. I'm sure a lot of you do. But, you know, all of those are in the UFC. There are guys that their whole careers are shorter than this guy's run in the UFC. It's crazy. This guy has been around a long time. And, you know, he's been good for a long time. And I know I mentioned all the names beforehand, and maybe you think they're more skilled or they left a better legacy. But fuck all that. This, for me, was an aura decision. Number 15 could be a lot of guys, and I wouldn't be mad at you if you put any of the guys I mentioned. Maybe some other guys that I'm, you know, forgetting. But this guy's fucking aura. Everyone loves him. And that's part of being a GOAT. You know, you leave a good legacy, you're going to be remembered. You know, you're going to make people like me sway my decision in getting him in number 15. And also, not to mention, all his modern losses, you know. Like I said, if you look, 3 out of the first 4 in the fight history are L's. But then he goes on that crazy fucking win streak and only loses to modern GOATs. You know, lost to Islam, lost to Ilya, who are both on this list. You know, if that's shocking to you, I don't know what to tell you, bro. And Arman Tsarukyan, you know, according to some people, like fucking Lucas Tracy, he's top 15 ever. So, you know, where does that put Charles? Obviously, Arman's not top 15 ever, but he's probably one of the most skilled fighters in modern UFC history. And basically UFC history, because, you know, the UFC is definitely the best that it's at in terms of level, in terms of fighter skill and level. But yeah, my sweet King Charles. So much to say, so many good things to say about him, but, you know, what ultimately holds him down is the amount of losses he has, and the fact that when he came face to face to the modern MMA Goats, to the GOATs that are on this list, he came up short. But he has his title defenses are the same as someone that we're gonna see later on in this list. Khabib, but they beat him. They all beat him in championship fights, which is crazy. Like, he has better wins than Khabib, in my opinion. Actually, I don't know if I'll say that. They kind of beat the same people, so. But yeah, Charles, number 15, or a choice, like I said, for my part, but definitely deserves to be up here, at least in the conversation. Number 14, Max Blast Holloway. This guy, to put it simply, this guy is the second best featherweight ever. The number one featherweight obviously also be on this list. I don't want to hear it about Jose Aldo and his WEC wins and his championship. This guy fought Aldo. He literally fought Aldo twice, and he beat him both times, both by knockout, I believe. Like, a lot of people have Aldo in their top 15. I'm sorry, man. Aldo just couldn't hold up with the best in the modern era. And if you can't do that, for the most part, I don't think you should be on this list, barring a couple people. One specifically that we'll get to in a bit. This guy only lost to two GOATs. Again, like Charles, Volk and Ilya. Like, who can blame him for that? Obviously, those are his modern losses. He has, a lot of losses. Or not a lot. A lot of... Why did I say a lot again? He has losses beforehand. Lost to Conor, other people. And a lot of people like to bring up the Dustin Poirier fight. First of all, he just beat him. He beat the shit out of him. And that first fight, you can't tell me that was a 100% Max Holloway. He took it on short notice. Plus, if you look back on the fight, he looks kind of fat. Like, compared to how he looked in that Dustin fight, just compared to both Dustin's fights. They're both at 155. Obviously one's not for the title, but they're both at lightweight. He looked fat. His face looked like, I don't know, it looked like like a balloon that doesn't need to be that big. It's just weird. That's a terrible analogy. But he looked fat. His face looked just puffed up, weird looking. I don't know. Short notice, maybe he was trying to bulk up a little too much. Maybe I need to give him my recipe on how to do that. But yeah, he looked fat. Made it a close ass fight too. People forget, man. People forget. Actually, people don't forget that. That was a good ass fight, close ass fight. He could have been a double champ easily. And now he's actually moved up to lightweight and he's beat. Like I said, both of Khabib's best wins are Dustin and Justin Gaethje. And this guy beat them both in lightweight. I don't want to throw shade to Khabib. I feel like I'm fucking throwing shade. I respect the hell out of Khabib. But I'm just saying, like, you got to have these two guys, 15 and 14, up there if you have Khabib up there. Because they beat the same guys. Maybe not in their prime, maybe at different times, but they still beat him. And Max fucking styled on both of them and got a knockout of the year. Khabib obviously mauled both of them, so it makes a difference. But yeah, those two great wins. I don't know what's next for Max Holloway. He could definitely go up, and when it's all said and done in his career, he could definitely be higher. But we'll find out what happens with him. Max Blast, number 14. Love Max as well. Number 13. Stipe Miocic. What to say about Stipe? The heavyweight GOAT. With, I feel like most people will say he's the heavyweight GOAT just because he has the most title defenses, which is crazy. I believe it's like 2 or 3. That just goes to show the level of the heavyweights. And he'll probably get that beaten soon, by this guy called Tom Aspinall, which he will also probably be on this list. He might take over Stipe's spot. I don't know. We'll see what happens. This guy also beat DC twice, who's also on this list. I know I'm spoiling, but you don't know the rankings, all right? So shut the fuck up if you're annoyed that I'm spoiling who's up here. The guys I've mentioned should be here, and the guys that going forward, you should probably also have an idea already. But he beat DC twice at heavyweight after losing to him, and beating Ngannou the first time. But he lost to him the second time. I think Ngannou at the time was like Thanos. He was inevitable. That guy was just mauling people. I'm sad that we didn't get to see Ngannou more in the UFC. That guy was a fucking tank, and he could have been up here. But Dana's doing his thing, Ngannou's doing his thing. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But enough glazing. Enough glazing the guy that's not on this list. Beat a lot of great guys. Beat Overeem. Beat Dos Santos. Beat DC. He has a great resume, for a heavyweight. Yeah, not much else to say about Stipe. You have to put the heavyweight goat up here. And he's shown why he's up here, for sure. All right, number 12. Kamaru Usman, number 12. This guy's the second best welterweight ever. Obviously, you have to know who number 1 is in that division. He had a crazy dominant run. You just look at that fight history. All the W's up until it's funny, he faced Leon the first time in the UFC. Cracked out all these wins, beat some maybe not the best guys, but he beat someone who was on a dominant run. And I'm forgetting this guy's name. Tyron Woodley, sorry. Sheesh. Maybe I'm getting CTE. Masvidal twice, Burns. Those are all great defenses. Great modern day defenses. Not to mention, look at the physique on this guy. He's looking like me these days. We might have to start training together. He's looking like me. If you don't know, you definitely don't know what I look like, but it's a little similar to him. But don't mean to go off the rails there. Don't mean to glaze another man's appearance, but this guy, Korean Nightmare or Korean. What the fuck am I talking about? Nigerian Nightmare for a reason. But let's get back into why he's up here. He definitely could have been a lot higher. And if he had a couple more defense, like if he beat Leon, I can't believe, like watching that live, I didn't get to see that one live. Watching that live was probably the craziest shit ever. Especially if you had me, Leon Edwards money line. For all you betting fiends out there, I know you are. That was fucking crazy. And, maybe if he redeemed himself and came back and beat him again, it'd be a different story, but he lost to him again by unanimous decision this time. And, lost to Chimaev. That one, we don't really hold it. We don't hold it against him, sorry. But it's just 3 losses in a row. You can't have that. But he came back at his old age with his wobbly knees, and he beat Buckley. And Buckley's a great modern day fighter, beat a lot of good fighters, and I don't know what's up next for him. Welterweight is probably one of the divisions that has a lot of guys up top, and you don't know really who to put up there in the conversation, for a champ fight, like middleweight as well, but. Who knows what's next for him? If he can rack up a couple more wins, maybe he can climb up this list. I know that. I know if Henry Cejudo, Henry Cejudo. Let me tell you something about Kamaru Usman, man. Like, you gotta put some respect on his name. Halo had him number 12 on this list, so, you gotta put some respect. This is my podcast partner. That was probably one of the worst. Henry Cejudo. He's so funny to hear. It's funny that he talks like that, and the beast that he is. A lot of people don't like Cejudo, but, you gotta admit, he's a beast. He's cringy, whatnot, but it's just funny hearing him talk. But, yeah, Kamaru Usman, number 12. Second best welterweight ever. Hard to be number one, but this guy almost did it. A couple more defenses could have been there. If he racks up a couple more wins, maybe he can convince me otherwise. But I think once we get to this next guy, you'll realize there's kind of a step up in tiers of fighters. Mixed emotions about this next guy, but I'll just let you see him. Number 11, Anderson the Spider Silva. And I already know a bunch of people are going to be pissed at me, but, are we really on that Anderson Silva glaze? Like, are we really still on that? I feel like this is bad. Like, I'm talking shit about him. To me, he's the 11th best MMA fighter of all time. Like, that should just say a lot. If you ever think I'm talking shit about these guys, I'm not really. I'm just nitpicking why they're not higher on this list. And on a GOAT list, you have to fucking nitpick because there's going to be a lot of GOATs, especially in a sport like this where there are different divisions and whatnot, and fighters that never fought each other. You have to nitpick. But, let's jump back into this. My yab as to why Anderson Silva is number 11. Longest win streak ever in UFC's history. That's crazy. I mean, I couldn't show all of them, but because you look at that second half of his fights, and but yeah, longest win streak ever. Probably had the most dominant run of any champion ever. ? It's definitely up there. He looked unstoppable. He was styling on these guys. He was front kicking them to the face. Like, who does that to Vitor Belfort, yeah, but he looked unstoppable at times. The things that do hold him back, though, is that he got beat way too much in the modern era. Like I said, you look at that second half of this fight history list, and it's just L after L after L. Who knew that fucking Chris Weidman would be your demise? Like, this guy just got beat the fuck up in this Stipe Jon Jones card in his hometown by some NPC. I can't remember. Was it Andrews? I think it was Andrews, Eric Andrews. Or, whatever the fuck, Eric Andrews. That's a different guy. It might be his name, though. I'm actually forgetting his last name. I think it's Andrews. Whatever the fuck. Chris Weidman got beat by him. And Chris Weidman beat Anderson twice. Like, that's crazy. Not to mention, this guy was probably on steroids. I mean, I don't know about you. Like, if you're cheating on anything, like, if you cheat on a test, like, teachers aren't like, oh, I'll give you partial credit, or, I'll give you credit for what you did, because that just doesn't work like that. Is this a terrible analogy? Like, if you cheat on a fucking test, you're getting a 0, my boy. Like, it's done. Obviously, it's hard to do that in MMA just because you still have to go out there and do the stuff that he did. And, boy, did he do a lot. But he's probably on steroids. That's going to hold you back, at least in my opinion. I can't really respect someone that, cheated in the fight game. The fight game is crazy because that shit can be life or death. Like I said, not to talk shit about him, but you got to nitpick. And a lot of people are going to have him higher on their list. But this is why he's this low on my list. But the next guy, I can't find it in my heart to talk shit about this guy. Number 10, Poatan Shama. Like, fight history automatically. I know you saw, it's a lot shorter now, but this guy, first of all, double champ, who, which isn't done a lot in the history of MMA, especially in the UFC. When I say MMA, I mean UFC. If I say UFC, I don't mean MMA, but when we're talking about GOAT lists, it's only UFC. Like, don't come here with the bullshit of Fedor or, whoever the fuck else was dominant in another organization. Maybe at a certain time, they were on par, or maybe a little below par of the UFC, but now it's just like not even comparable. But yeah, double champ, face of 2024 in modern MMA history. This guy didn't compete in MMA until like fucking couple years and just went straight into the UFC. Like, who does that? Who the hell does that? Obviously they had glory kickboxing, but MMA is so different because you worry about the grappling, and a lot of people thought that would affect them, but it didn't. And in 2024, he was the UFC. He was the UFC. He was the face of the UFC. Like, don't come here with the bullshit. Ilya obviously had a great year, but Alex was the face. He just lit everyone up. He styled on these guys that, I just can't talk shit about Poatan. He was the face of the UFC in modern MMA. That says a lot. The knockout run that he had was just incredible. He went toe to toe with Izzy. Both fights. Came back the first time and was winning the second time, but roles were reversed. Got knocked the fuck out. But then he went on a run. He barely beat Jan Blachowicz, which, hey, Jan Blachowicz, no bum. And then just went on this incredible run. That unfortunately got ended by Ank, which is, honestly, a year ago, or not a year ago, before he lost to Ank, he was probably higher on a lot of people's lists. If this guy beats Ank and then moves up and somehow fucking beats Tom Aspinall, this guy might be number one. I'm not even gonna lie. No, I don't know, because there's a lot of guys right now that could get to number one, but we'll get to that soon. But yeah, like I said, that Ank fight definitely hurts his stock in being the GOAT. But hey, if he can get that win back, maybe we'll get a trilogy. Maybe he moves up. I'm not too sure. He did get chinned at 185 as well by Izzy. Nothing to be ashamed about. Izzy is a great fighter. Easily a top 20 fighter, Izzy is. So no shame at all in that. But I'm really hoping he can go out there and fucking knock Ank alive the fuck out. Like, nothing against Ank, but Pereira's such a better champion. So much more entertaining. I can't believe that Ank looked like the trickiest customer you've ever seen. Especially with Alex. Like, this guy is known for his kickboxing, and he wasn't able to do anything to Ank. It's so crazy to me. I don't understand it. I definitely didn't have a bit of money on the line as well, but I couldn't believe my eyes. But hopefully, like I said, he can get back in there in October and just fucking knock Ank out, man, and then see what he does. That would definitely give him some more points towards GOAT status if he can go out there and beat Ank, because that'd be his best win at light heavyweight for sure. Ank's on a great run, so we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But moving on, number 9, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. I know I'm going to get also a lot of fucking slack for this. This guy's popular now, this and that. But let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. There's a reason the UFC traded him. Like, I don't want to sound like that, but there's a reason the UFC traded him, man. Like, this guy just wasn't pulling enough for the UFC to be like, we want this guy. Even though he was styling on, this is where the critique also comes in. He was styling on nobodies. He did beat Cejudo, but he also lost to him. So he's 1-1 against his best win ever, in my opinion at least. And everyone's opinion for sure. He is the flyweight GOAT though. Like, I'll start talking good. He is the flyweight GOAT. Like I said, Tim fucking Elliott beat Kai Sakura. Tim Elliott might be better than Kai Sakura at this point, bro. I don't know what to tell you. They both subbed him in the second round. It was crazy. Also, not to mention, Mighty Mouse had a dominant run. Dominant. I mean, dominant is the only word I can put it. Like, they were trying to bring guys straight out of the Ultimate Fighter to fight him. I think Tim Elliott was one of those guys. Like, he was just too good for his time, but maybe if he had a better dance partner, Dana would have kept him. I don't know, but ultimately he did get traded to one for fucking Ben Askren, which I don't want to talk shit about Ben Askren, especially right now. I'm so glad he's doing better after getting staph on both of his lungs. That's crazy. But yeah, he did get traded for Ben Askren. Went to one and lost. He lost. He lost and went. I get it. Adriano Moraes or whatever this guy's name is. He's good, but this is fucking one. Like, maybe DJ was just older or whatever, but if he stayed in the UFC, he could have been number one in a lot of categories, I'm sure, because it took a while until the Brandon Morenos and Davison Figueiredos for flyweights to actually be respected, which I love because, Brandon Moreno, that's my guy. But, kind of fraudy title defenses in the UFC, and none of this is his fault, but like I said, I gotta be nitpicky. Like, this name me 4 Mighty Mouse Johnson quality title defenses. You can't, man. You can't. You just can't. And if you're trying to be a hardcore, like, oh, but look at the outside foot battle, the flyweights are the most skilled, like this and that, bro. Like, just shut the fuck up, honestly. Mighty Mouse, all-time great. Literally the 9th best MMA fighter of all time, in my opinion. But you just can't get the nod any higher for me. He just didn't have enough quality wins. I'm sorry. And like I said, that's number one. And the legacy that he has now is 10 times better than it ever was before. And so that definitely helped his case. But number 9, Mighty Mouse Johnson. What a guy. He entertaining as well. Entertaining YouTuber, influencer, all the stuff that he's doing. Maybe one day, we'll have a Mighty Halo podcast and not a Mighty Guru podcast, But this is my first video. I gotta pipe down, right? But alright, number 8. Merab the Machine. Guys, let me tell you something. Don't leave, guys. Halo put me number 8 in his MMA Goat list. I am so proud. I love Georgia. I'm so proud. Go Halo MMA, It's Merab, bro. Like, how can you not respect the fuck out of this guy? This guy came into the UFC, lost his first 2 bouts, and then said, I understand it now, and just went on this fucking crazy run. This guy, I don't know, he might have the best resume. Like, look at the wins that he has. He has a Cejudo win, which Mighty Mouse also has, and he fucking dominated him. Petr Yan, Jose Aldo, Umar. That Umar win, I don't even want to explain to you guys how well that's going to age. Sugar, he beat Sugar when he was on the top of his game. Like, he's making these guys look easy. The cardio on this guy, like, you guys know all this. There's a reason this guy is a machine. I'm just here to glaze him. I think the real only thing that's holding him back, those 2 L's in the beginning, like I said, his fight style, his legacy. It's becoming more entertaining, I'll say that. But a lot of people look at him and, look at his fights. Unanimous decision. It's not the prettiest to look at, but he went out there and subbed Sugar, which, Sugar, grappling, those don't go in the same sentence, but yeah, he the only losses he has, he was a fucking tadpole in not in MMA, but in the UFC, so can't really hold that against him. He grew that beard and just fucking locked in, and I love Merab for that. And he's just a good guy. He's a swell guy. I think this is gonna give away what my nationality is, but he was for the Mexicans, and I fucking love that. He was on the Spheres talking about he's gonna make us proud. Make us proud when Cejudo said he's not a Mexican. He's just funny. He knows how to please the crowd. And I think he's going to go out there and fucking beat Corey Sandhagen and maybe move up on this list. I don't know. He's a GOAT. He's up there. Number 8 on my list. Number 7, Daniel Cormier. Also, it's funny. I never knew his official nickname was DC. That's a cool nickname, I guess. But DC, what to say about sweet old DC? First of all, a lot of people hate him as a commentator. He's not that bad. Like we gotta give him a little more credit. But yeah, talking about the good stuff, why he is number 7 on my list. Double champ, that gets you so much higher than anything else would, especially if you have a good resume to back it up, which he does. He has great heavyweight wins. He has great light heavyweight wins. Like, if not for Jon Jones on steroids, he would have beat him in that second fight. Like, go back and look at that second fight, which was ruled a no contest, by the way. Like, this guy was beating the fuck out of Jon Jones. Like, go and look. I don't know why I don't hear people bring this up a lot. It is a lot. It's not a loss, actually. It's a fucking no contest. Because Jon Jones was on fucking roids. He was beating the fuck out of Jon Jones. Made a mistake. Got fucking clocked in the head. And got knocked out. But, I can't blame him for it. Then he goes up to heavyweight. Fucking wins the title. Knocks out Stipe Miocic. Like, that's crazy. Fucking little old DC, bro. Like, look at his build, bro. Like, how is he going out there and doing that to these people, bro? I will say in that second Jon Jones fight is probably the peak of his physique. He looked great. But at heavyweight, like, that's crazy. But yeah, he fucking knocked Stipe the fuck out. Then came back and lost twice to him. Got knocked out himself. Probably one of the saddest retirements. He was the fucking apex during COVID. That just sucks. But he was like 40 when he lost to Stipe. I don't want to defend wins, but it's hard not to like this guy. So I don't really have a lot of things to say about him. But he did lose to Jon Jones and Stipe, the 2 goats in their division. And at the time, like, it's crazy. He was in there with these heavier guys that usually aren't that skilled, but he lost to 2 of the most skilled light heavyweights and heavyweights we've ever seen. Not to mention the amount of skill that he had himself. But DC, number 7 on my list. Number 7 is a great number, so I had to put DC in there. Great guy. And yeah, just stop hating him on commentary, man. He's good. He brings some passion that a lot of people wouldn't. And I'm happy that people give him his credit. I'm giving him his credit. But yeah, number 6, Habibi. But yes, Khabib Nurmagomedov, number 6. Plain and simple, probably the most dominant UFC fighter ever. Never lost. Has 0 losses. Think about that. He has 0 losses on his resume. You look at his resume, though. I'm going to start to nitpick here. You look at his resume. First of all, he beat Al Aquenta to get the title. Like, that's pretty fraudy in my opinion. Like, you can't hang your head high about that. Like, this guy is a fucking real estate agent now. Like, but it's not his fault who he faced. But he just didn't stick around long enough. If he would have, I think we would be having a completely different conversation. And not to mention, there's a bunch of guys these days that have done great things that have ultimately passed him. Number 6 might be harsh to some people. I think it's completely fair. I mean, he's the 6th best MMA fighter ever. All of these 5 guys that I have ahead of him, I have great reasons to. They lasted longer, or they've been not more dominant, but they've had greater wins than he has. His biggest win was Conor at the time, but his best win was probably Dustin Poirier. Poirier's probably the best guy ever to not be a champion. I mean, Justin Gaethje as well. Like, these guys, those 3 are great wins. Those 3 title defenses. It's a shame that his dad passed away and he couldn't continue, but we're going off the legacy that he has, and his legacy definitely carried him a lot because, like I said, his resume isn't the best. Like, let's be real though. Let's be real with ourselves right now. His resume is just not the best, but super dominant, most dominant guy ever. Never bled in the octagon, which is fucking crazy. Like, just Just think about that. Never bleeding inside the octagon, especially with the amount of fights that he had. It's just crazy. Number 6, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Great champion, great person, and a great coach as well. So, he's definitely done a lot to the sport, as his dad did. So, nothing but props to Khabib. Number 5, though. Yes, my king, Alexander the Great. Yes, say it. The Great Volkanovski. What to say about Volk, man? He's the best featherweight ever. Think about it. He beat Max Holloway 3 times. He beat Max Holloway, number 14 on this list. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The second one could be debated, but they gave him the win. I think it's a Volk win. It could be debated. There's a lot of fights that could be debated, but he beat Max fucking Holloway 3 times. His only real losses are to 2 guys that are quite literally up next on this list. Like, just look at this resume, man. He beat everyone in the featherweight division, which is probably, at least for sure, I want to say top 2 most skilled divisions ever. Just based on history. They've only had great champions. Say what you want about Conor. His championship run was great. And he did a lot of good things. He did a lot of great things for the sport. And he had a crazy dominant run. Volk had a crazy dominant run, unlike we've ever seen in the featherweight division. Max was looking like he was heading on that type of run, and then came this freaking Australian geezer and just beat him. Just went out there and beat him 3 times. And that first Islam fight is probably the most skilled fight we have ever seen. Like, these were the pound for pound number 1 and 2 at the time. And we got to see that. And I hope we get to see that with these next 2 guys that are up on this list. But it's a shame that he lost to both of those guys the way he did. No shame in that first one. But, coming in on short notice, fat Volk. It definitely tainted his legacy a little bit. But I think this is his ceiling, unfortunately. He's older now. He fucking came back and beat the curse of 35 and older for the lighter weight classes. Like, this guy, you can't say bad. There's no bad things to say really about this guy. This guy just really did it all, except beat Islam and lose to who might be the next GOAT. But Volk, number 5, great guy. I'm so happy that he has the championship on his waist right now, on his shoulder. We'll see what happens in this next defense. We don't know who it's going to be yet, so I'm hoping he can get that win again. But number 4, I mean, what to say about Ilia Topuria? Like, this guy's, like, I said that Ngannou was Thanos. This guy is actually no, Ngannou's also Thanos. This guy is fucking Thanos, though. This guy's Thanos that talks shit like Thanos. So he's actually more Thanos than he might be more Thanos than Thanos himself, bro. This guy is inevitable. Like, I can't believe this guy had UFC champion before that Volk fight. Like, the fucking balls on this guy to do that. Looking back on it, you're like, how did people not pick him? But this guy just bursted onto the scene and just is saying everything. He's doing everything that he says he will. And how is he not top 5 on your GOAT list? Like, this guy has beat such great modern fighters. Not to mention, he beat 2 guys on my list. Actually, 3 fucking guys. What am I talking about? He beat 3 guys on this list. And maybe a lot of, like, I have an obvious glaze for Ilia because, or obvious, I don't know if it was obvious, but maybe I'm biased towards Ilia. But this guy's just a fucking, I can't believe, like, this is a crazy Ilya Glaze session, but look at that. Knockout, knockout, knockout. Subbed Bryce Mitchell. Beat the fuck out of Josh Emmett. And then knockout, knockout, knockout. To win a title, defend it, move up a division, and win a title. This guy is crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves up to fucking welterweight and beats Islam. We have to see that Islam fight. Like, there's no way we don't see that Islam fight. It will feed generations. I think it would feed all of history if that fight were to happen. But we'll see what happens with Islam. He just got announced for JDM. We all knew it was going to happen, Madison Square Garden. But I hope Ilya can get another defense, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, if he can go out there and beat Arman too, like, especially knock him out again, like the way this guy is putting out people is like, and is nothing like we've ever seen, at least for a lighter weight class guy. So we'll see what happens. I hope he sticks around long enough where he could be number one, but we'll just have to find out. But number 3, this might be, I don't know, maybe this will be a surprise, maybe this won't be a surprise. Islam Makhachev. I mean, you know, very similar to what I've said about Khabib and Ilya. Like, this guy lost when he was a tadpole in the UFC and just went on the craziest win streak ever. He's about to tie Anderson Silva in modern MMA for the win streak. Like, that would be absolutely insane, especially if he goes out there now that we know he's fighting JDM. If he fucking goes out there and subs him, or, you know, if he just beats JDM, I think I have to put him number 1. Like, what critiques do you have of his resume, of his style? Like, you can't really have a critique because, you know, as opposed to, and Khabib did beat up a lot of people, but the way the skill on Islam, the way he's putting out these fighters, and I will say that Dustin Poirier fight, he didn't look his best, but ultimately he beat him. He struck with Dustin Poirier. He couldn't really take him down. He took him down in the first couple rounds, I think, and then that was it. But he stood toe to toe with fucking Dustin Poirier and outboxed him, plain and simple. And I know a lot of people are picking JDM, but I see the JDM fight as something very similar to that Dustin Poirier fight. I mean, both guys with good takedown defense. Justin Poirier, as fucking Gamera put it, Dustin Poirier showed improved takedown defense. Maybe, you know, he was just a little more slippery, this and that. He still got subbed though. And Islam, plain and simple, outboxed him. Was comfortable in that fight. So I think something similar can happen versus JDM. Very close fight. A very, very skillful fight. That might replace Volk and Islam as the most skilled fight ever. But I'm super excited. I'm super pumped. That should be a great fight. But like I said, if Islam can win that, I'll spoil it now. I think he's gonna be number 1 in my books. I mean, what can you say? He would be a double champ. He would have tied Anderson Silva for the longest win streak ever, which is crazy in modern MMA. If he wouldn't have lost that fluke knockout, he would have it. So, yeah, man, this guy can strike now. This guy can obviously sub people. His wrestling is immaculate. I think he might be the most skilled fighter we've ever seen. But, you know, his legacy, his resume, the lack of a double champ status is what's holding him back now. So, I know you know who these top 2 are, but you're about to see what order I have them in. Sorry, that was insane. Number 2, Johnny Bones Jones. I know, and trust me, I know. How can you have, Jon Jones? Talk about Jon Jones. You know, if we put all the man in history in a room, Jon Jones would walk out. I know. Are we talking about steroid Jon Jones though, or non-steroid Jon Jones? Because at this point, I don't know which is which, and that's a fucking problem. I'm sorry. The fact that he did steroids for I don't even know what amount of time. You know, Joe Rogan talks about him not training and going into fights as a good thing. Like, bro, this guy, you're supposed to be training. You're supposed to be putting your fucking life into this sport. And this guy just went out there and did steroids and fucking styled on people for sure. But he did steroids, bro. And the fact that he didn't fight Tom Aspinall at the end of his career, he could have fucking beat Stipe. Even before that, just said, hey, I'm not fighting Tom. I want to fight Stipe, and that'll be it for me. And hey, I would have more respect for him. I think the MMA community as a whole would have more respect for him. But he didn't do that. He doubled down, you know, said all this shit about Tom Aspinall, which, how could you talk shit about Tom Aspinall? I don't find a reason for you to talk shit about Tom Aspinall. Especially if you're the one out here doing fucking steroids. Like, that just pisses me off, bro. Like, doing steroids in a combat sports, bro. Like, but enough with the rage, enough with the rant. Like, not to mention this guy's a POS, straight up POS. And hey, one day I met him, I don't want you guys to be like, oh, like, you can't believe you switched up. Like, he is a UFC legend. Obviously, I wouldn't say this shit in front of his face. I don't want to get fucking murdered, killed, because this guy would kill me, plain and simple, if you wanted to. But I'm just saying it how it is. I can't have this guy number one just because he did the steroids multiple times. Had a fight switched because of the steroids. But he has all-time great wins. He's an all-time great himself. Double champ. Never lost. Well, he lost to Dominic Reyes. Let's be honest with ourselves. But, you know, quote-unquote, never lost inside the octagon. That's not a disqualification. There's a lot of good things to say about Jon Jones, but I think ultimately he's number 2 on my list because there's equally bad things that you can say about Jon Jones. Which, in terms of legacy, definitely ruined it, and which is why he's not number 1. But hey, Jon Jones, most title defenses ever, all-time great, number 2. It's probably number, like, I'm not mad if you put him number 1. You're just someone that cheats cannot be my number 1. But without further ado, number 1 on my top 15 MMA GOAT list, Halo's MMA GOAT list, Shamil the Blood. I'm just kidding, guys. Number 1, George Rush St. Pierre. What to say about my sweet king, GSP? 2 losses, which he both avenged. Dominant run in welterweight, the best welterweight ever. And ultimately, I think it's the legacy that puts him up here. This guy didn't do steroids, was a great person on and off the octagon, beat all these people, like I said, avenged both of his losses. Like, it's one thing to go out there and lose, but go out there and avenge both of them in title fights. That's insane. I can only wish to have a career like this guy did. Anyone on this list would wish to have a career like this guy did. And he's a double champ himself. He came out here and he beat Michael Bisping. You know, it is Michael Bisping, but he beat Michael Bisping, subbed him. I can't believe he came back after all that time and still, you know, found a way to bulk up and fucking go out there and beat the middleweight champion. Sorry. This guy has a great legacy. The greatest legacy, I think, in my opinion, along with, you know, the quality of his resume. He beat a lot of great guys. Like, go back and look at his fights. It's high level, and he did have a lot of unanimous decisions, which people will call boring, and I don't blame them. But this guy, here's a guy, but this guy's just a GOAT. He's the definition of a GOAT, on and off the octagon, like I said, and just hear this guy talk. Like, I listened to the podcast that he's a part of, just the way he talks about fighting. The way he talks about life in general. This is a guy that you want to hear. This is a guy that you want to represent the UFC and MMA. This guy's the definition of what being an MMA fighter is. And that's why he's number 1. Because he's all that and a GOAT of the UFC. Definitely on the Mount Rushmore of the UFC. Number 1 in my opinion. GSP, George Rush St. Pierre. But yeah, guys. This was my top 15 MMA GOAT list. You know, if I got a laugh out of you, if I got, you know, just any sort of emotion out of you. Even if I made you rage and you disagree with me, fucking comment that shit. Comment why you disagree. You know, help me out here. This is my first video ever. You know, if you have a friend that likes MMA, that's getting into MMA, you know, shoot him my way. Shoot him this video, and you know, if you have a hot cousin as well, just fucking throw her my way as well. You know, that would be great. Like I said, guys, like, subscribe. This is Halo MMA. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.